Welcome to Creepin' It Real. I am Judah. This week we're going to be talking about the 1989 horror film known as Beyond Dream's Door, directed by Jay Wolfel, who wrote, directed, and scored this film. So he obviously has some talent. Beyond Dream's Door is based off of a 1983 short film of the same name that Wolfel created during his time at a filmmaker course at Ohio State University. Beyond Dream's Door was shot within the OSU University campus. Now, from what I read, he could not secure the funds that he needed, so he decided to lean in to the opportunities that were provided to him at Ohio State University. It did not hurt that his dad was a professor there. I'm sure he got a little extra special treatment because of that. The crew consisted largely of film students using equipment provided by the university and a cast composed of Wolfel's friends and other theater actors from Columbus. In the years, this film has gained what some would call a minor cult following. I personally don't see it, but I do kudos this man for going after his dreams, because he has a lot under his belt. When you go to his IMDb and you read about what Jay has under his belt, the man has scored a lot of movies. He's directed several. So he's got himself a good career out of this, and I'm happy for him. And I'm glad that it is considered a minor cult classic. So let's check out this trailer. I will be pausing and talking over it. I have not watched this trailer yet, so let's check it out together. Also, have you noticed I do not have my mood lights on? I just have the overhead lights. So if you could, leave a comment letting me know if you think that the aesthetics is better with the mood lighting or the overhead. Tell me what you prefer. I've asked this question before in the past, and no one ever comments. And I'm really looking for some guidance here, people. Please help me out here.
Professor Knox, did you read this?
What is it?
Just a dream, I guess.
I'll give it a look.
Thanks.
This was one thing. This is such a nitpick. Now, the scene right here, you see he has this red shirt on. He was just in the classroom listening to a lecture by that guy he's talking to. But when he was in there, he had a white buttoned-up shirt on. He falls asleep. He has a dream during this lecture, and then he wakes up and he chases the professor out to give him what he wrote down of the dream he had. But now he has a red shirt on. I don't know. And then the scene after this, he'll have the white shirt back on. A nitpick, but it bothers me, these inconsistencies. But as I just told you, this was basically put together by film students, so I will give them, definitely some leniency on this.
I've got to go.
I'll probably get a copyright claim on this music. We'll see if we can fight it. Which, by the way, if you noticed in my Heretic review, I mentioned at one point that I was definitely going to get claimed for the music, and I 100% did. And I couldn't fight it, so the only thing I could do was mute the music in the video. So if you watch that video now, you'll hear that the trailer has had the audio removed from parts of it to remove that claim that was put on me.
Benjamin Dobbs has opened a door into his mind.
There are definitely effects in this movie that point heavily to this being, a film students putting this together. There's nothing wrong with that. You got to work with what you got. From what I read, the budget was $60,000 for somebody who couldn't secure the funds that he needed. $60,000 is no small amount of money to scrape together to put your film. So that's amazing. I mean, no shade on him for that. The dude did what he needed to, and he got out his movie. I applaud people who have the gumption and the strength to push through hurdles. Me, I'm a very like, I'm one of those people that's like, I'll try it once. And if I don't exceed immediately, I'm like, well, that sucks. I'm never doing that again. I guess that doesn't totally ring true in every aspect of my life, because I've been doing this movie review thing for over a year, like a year and a half now. And I only have like 140 subscribers. And I clearly have not like given up on this yet. Give me another month and I may scrap this whole thing. Anyway, back to the trailer.
Has anything even remotely like your dream ever happened to you in real life?
No, absolutely nothing.
The dream, is it always the same?
They're like a chain hooking on to each other. I don't want to know where it's going to end.
And unleashed a horror for all those who know what he dreams.
Not being an actor. Some of these things that these people do, it would make me laugh. It would be so difficult for me to have somebody have a camera in my face and then be like, okay, now scream like you're having a bad dream. My insecurities, I would feel so shy, I wouldn't be able to pull it off. So even though the acting in this movie is quite hideous, in my opinion, you know, they're at least going for it. That guy. Let's see if we can see.
It's not just a dream anymore.
Beyond Dream's Door.
We have things to do before we go to sleep.
I actually liked that whole segment where he said, we have things we have to do before we go to sleep. That seemed very foreboding. I really liked that. This trailer, honestly, makes me feel like I want to watch the movie, and I already did. And I can't say that I walked away enjoying it. I learned some things that I found quite fun because, as I've mentioned before, what movie was it? Night Visions, this kind of guerrilla warfare filmmaking that I feel needs to be brought back to cinema. This is definitely in that realm. He had a dream. He was not able to secure the funds, so he did what he needed to do to get that vision out there. And I love that. I came across this movie purely by, doom scrolling on Instagram, which, by the way, if you want to follow me on Instagram, it's Creepin It Real Horror, because Creepin It Real was already taken. Now, this is an interesting side story. Now, if my co-host was here, he would beg to differ, but I'm legitimately giving you the true story. He would want to downplay it. We were knocking back and forth names for this for a long time. I mean, we were coming up with hundreds of names. So I asked some of my friends, hey, give me, me and my buddy Jake, we're going to start doing this horror review thing, and we're looking for a name. You got any ideas? And my coworker at the time, who's a friend, Scott Boehner, he was like, how about Creepin It Real? So I suggested this to Jake, in that we didn't settle on it right away. We were just it was something that kept sticking in his head, and we were still trying to come up with name ideas. Now, I was heading to a trip, I think it was Glacier National Park, and my stepmom was driving me to the airport, in Chicago, O'Hare. And I was talking to her, telling her that my friend Jake and I were going to start this horror review. And I was telling her some of the names. And at the same time, me and Jake are texting still about the names. And I was kind of at my end. I was tired of coming up with names. We weren't landing on anything. And I was ready to just kind of, at this point, take anything. Which, by the way, his first suggestion, and he was super sold on this, and I just put my foot down and said, absolutely not. His first idea was 2 guys, 1 movie. And I got to say that I'm not super familiar with the lore, but I understood that was based off of some kind of pornography. And I told him, I was like, look, man, if that is connecting us in some way to a porn flick, I want nothing to do with that. And he was super bummed. But at the same time, I'm still glad that we did not use that, especially since I finally read up on it. I didn't watch this. I have no clue, but I read the synopsis somewhere and I was like, oh my gosh, this is shit porn. People are eating poop. What the? Anyway, sorry. So I'm telling my stepmom, I think we're landing on Creeping It Real. And she said, you're going to be spelling real like R-E-E-L, right? And I was like, no, yeah, that's exactly what we were going to do. So then I text Jake. I was like, hey, how about Creeping It Real, R-E-E-L? And he was like, oh my gosh, yes. So that's what we went with. He immediately trademarked the name. Okay, so we have the trademark for Creepin' It Real. It's, I go on my trip. I go to Glacier, which was a fun trip with my cousins. And I come back. We're still kind of ruminating, getting things ready. And then I start doing a search online. And I find out that somebody else had already had the name Creepin' It Real. But it seems like they have not been active for quite a while. So I called Jake and I'm like, bro, we can't use this. Somebody else is already doing it. And I don't like that idea. And he was like, too bad, bro. He's like, I have the trademark. It's ours. If they want to be contentious about it, he's like, we got the law behind us. And I was like, okay, I guess we're being those people. I'm not a fan of being that kind of a person. But he was sold on the name. He got the trademark. And so we've been doing this for a year and a half. And again, it doesn't seem like the other Creepin' It Real has been active for quite a long time. It would be nice if I could get that Instagram. But as it is now, I am stuck with Creepin' It Real Horror at Instagram. So I'm scrolling through Instagram and I just see somebody holding a Blu-ray physical media of Beyond Dreams Door. And I liked the artwork, so I thought, you know what? I'm watching this movie. I looked it up. It's on Tubi. Tubi, fantastic streaming service. The commercials do get a bit annoying, but I love the selection of insane movies they have on there. I mean, it is a treasure trove of insane 80s B movies. I love it. It's fantastic. So I watched this movie. I can't say that I was blown away by it, but I did get heavy vibes that this may have. This is just a shot out there. These are my feelings. It almost felt like maybe the person who wrote Smile may have gotten some influence from this. Why? Because in this, even though this is based off of Beyond Dreams Door is, based off of dreams, and Smile is like this some kind of infectious thing that works off of fear. In Beyond Dreams Door, they spoke about it, about needing to stop its spread. Those are some pretty close to the exact words. I need to stop the spread, because he could pass this dream off to people. Whenever he would talk to people or have them read about his dream, they would somehow be connected then to his dreams, and those dreams would enter the real world and start impacting their lives as well, which it just felt to me kindred to this whole Smile story. I would love to hear from those of you out there who have watched Beyond Dreams Door and Smile and give me your thoughts on that. That, like, legitimately, I would love to have a conversation about this kind of stuff. You know, it wouldn't have to be long. We could do it in the comments section. Now, there are some other things that I read that I don't really need to drag this on forever. I don't have a high score for this movie. I would not watch it again, but I love the spirit behind it. The same as when I did the review for Night Vision. The spirit behind it, that entrepreneurial, go out there and get it done spirit. I love it. There's a couple fun facts that I was reading. Now, when it came to distribution, and they were showing this to distributors, the first thing the notes they got back were, one, it's not long enough. So they made some long, drawn out intro, which I did feel it was long and drawn out, but they did it, to pad the time. Also, they said, there's no nudity. We need nudity. So they just look up some random modeling studio in the Columbus area, and they just hire some chick to read some lines and flash her boobs, and they insert it into the movie, into these random dream sequences. And I got to tell you, before I knew this information and I was watching this, those scenes always felt disjointed to me. They seemed like they made no sense to the story whatsoever. Everything else, I was like, okay, I can see the connection here and over here. But I was like, why does this woman keep showing up? And why does she keep taking her shirt off? It made no sense to me and the story or the dreams. And I know dreams in general don't always make sense. And you can lean on that and you can excuse it away. But at the same time, I was like, this feels so weird, like it has no purpose. And here I come to find out, because it legitimately had no purpose. It was just the distributors being like, we need some tits in there. That's why we got them. I also read there is one actor who starts to help the main character in here. And after they were done shooting, he was going to play Daddy Warbucks in a production of Annie. So he shaved his head. And Jay was like, bro, oh my gosh, I can't believe you did that. He's like, what if we have to do some reshoots? He's like, now you're bald. It's like, the reshoots aren't, And he's like, okay, do you still have your hair? So lo and behold, they had to do some pickup shots. And they glued the dude's hair back on his head for these shots. And from what I read, that he had to keep his head, or the cameras had to be in a very specific spot, because if he turned his head too much, you could see the back of his head was shaved, because they didn't glue it to the whole back of his head, just like the top front. And I love that. I love reading and finding these kind of things out in about these movies. It just brings so much joy to me to know the things that go into making these movies. It's just such little treasures to me. Digging into these movies, watching them is not always a joy. Like, there was a movie I reviewed called The Children, and I couldn't stand the movie. But when I was done and I was reading things about it, and then I did the review, I had so much joy talking about this movie. And the same with this, and with Night Vision, finding out the heart that goes into it, things that were sacrificed. I love it. It fills me with joy for these people to see the hardships and then push through and come out at the end of the tunnel and be like, here it is. Now, sometimes, I think we've all experienced this. Sometimes when we push through, we come through with a product that we're not really happy with. And I get that. And from the insider perspective, that could be very frustrating and very disappointing. But me, as someone from the outside looking in, I can applaud you and I can be like, wow, man, good job. You did it. Now, why I can't have that same mercy for myself, I have no idea. It's like the same thing. I can forgive other people, but there is crap in my life that I can't forgive myself for. I still wear the chains from those things, those past mistakes, bad mistakes that I made that had hurt people, or product that I put out that was not, perfect. So I have that kind of mercy for others, but none for me. Where am I going to land? As a score on this, I'm going to give it a 4 out of 10. I'm sorry, Jay. I'm sorry. Jay Wolfel, I applaud you, and I definitely am a fan of yours as far as your gumption goes. This movie just didn't do it for me. The trailer sells it, though. The trailer sells it. The movie in itself felt a little long to me and drawn out. And because it's working within this dream realm, some things are slightly confusing. And there are some theories. As the movie is going on, the characters are having theories about what is going on. And I think some of the theories that they jump to have no basis for these theories on how to destroy or stop this dream virus that is going out there and killing people. Those are some minor things, but for what it is, 4 out of 10, I think, is a pretty good score. I think a 4 out of 10 is a decent score for this movie. And I do think that you could potentially have more fun watching this with someone else where you guys can die laughing about things. But as far as being a cult classic, again, the enjoyment, it's not so bad that it's awesome. It has something there, though. And I think it's worth the discussion, even if it's just the discussion of, like I've said, that guerrilla warfare filmmaking. I think it's there, and I think it's a good example of what we need to get back into the cinema. Let's go to my favorite place to find reviews, IMDb. Here we have a 10 out of 10, declared a masterpiece by Krug Stillo 1. Am I saying that right? I hope so. Beyond Dream's Door is a slice of raw nightmare delirium, much like the equally brilliant movie Dialing for Dingbats. It nails down a dream logic that few films, and especially Hollywood films that try and are too self-conscious to succeed, ever achieve. True, the acting is bad, but this only enhances the off-kilter feeling of being stuck in a wholly bizarre dream world where reality has been jarred. I adore this movie. I love it. It brings tears to my eyes whenever anyone brings it up. I've seen it no less than 50 times, and I'll probably watch it again tonight. I have a ragged old VHS copy, but for movies like this, I think VHS is the proper format. But that's what Krug Stillo 1 thinks a masterpiece. A freaking masterpiece. 10 out of 10. Now let's find somebody who somewhat agrees with me. This is a 2 out of 10 by Nick Jones, 96546. It was all a dream, has long been the hallmark of bad storytelling. I don't know. I mean, when Mario 2 came out and you beat that game and you found out it was all a dream, that was a little weird. That was probably my first experience ever in life where a story ended as a dream. You guys know what I'm talking about? Mario 2? Obviously, we all know the story that Mario 2 was not actually a Mario game. It was something else. But then when they ported it over to the States, they decided to throw the Mario franchise on it to help propel the game. Anyway, after you beat Wart, the ending is Mario sleeping in bed, dreaming. So that was always weird to me. I was like, what? It was a freaking dream? And I didn't think it was bad storytelling. So let's get back to this. A way to bring something to a conclusion without actually doing the work to wrap it up coherently. They're not wrong. Usually when a story ends as a dream, it has the veneer of comprehensibility for most of its length. However, this film uses its very nature as a film about the dream and dreaming as an excuse to make little to no sense for its entire runtime. Again, they are not wrong. This is the way I viewed this. It was, you didn't know when things were dreams. You didn't know when they were in the waking world. But that was the whole point of it. The dreams were entering the waking world. It was spreading into other people's lives and destroying them. So it's like a weird kind of dynamic. People act like idiots. Characters seem wooden. The plot, okay. I would like to address from what I read. Jay addressed the whole wooden acting. He said that because most of the actors that he hired for this movie were theatrical actors, and they are taught to overact, he told them to subdue their acting. And he felt that him telling them to subdue their acting is what resulted in the wooden acting. Those are his exact words, the wooden acting. He takes the blame fully as a director for the wooden acting. I just want to point that out. The plot meanders about without any focus, and events occur for no reason. Are any of these actually deliberate choices because the line between dream and reality is blurred? It all hits more like bad writing. Nothing really seems dreamlike or surreal. There's just a series of obviously not actually happening scenarios that the characters are subjected to before a monster pops in to say boo. I think these are all legitimate. Say what you will about Nightmare on Elm Street films and their varying quality, but almost all of them had creative dream scenarios. The characters had clear motives and you knew why things were happening, and there were no pretentious voiceover reciting poetry. Okay, well, that's a little, I think that is subjective. That last part, I feel is subjective. We have 2 people that downvoted this review. See, that's what I don't get. Side note. When people just downvote you, they downvote my reviews or other people's just because they don't agree. That is absurd to me. That doesn't make sense. If there's something like had this review been filled with grammatical errors, perhaps you could give it a thumbs down for that. But I would never know because I can't spell for the life of me. I mean, if my life depended on it, I'd be dead. But there you have it. You have some people that think this is a masterpiece, and then you have other people that think it's meandering. And I felt that it was meandering. Again, I think 2 out of 10 is a little low, but I did give it a 4 out of 10. And I think that is quite generous for this film. If you have watched this film, Beyond Dream's Door, and you loved it, and you think that I am mistaken, please leave a comment. If you feel compelled because you love this movie and you think I trashed on it to give me a thumbs down, you do what you got to do. You know what I mean? You do what you got to do. But I would ask that you leave a comment explaining why, and I will be happy with that. Beyond that, please like, subscribe, and share. Thank you for your time. Once again, I am Judah, and I'll see you again later.